Right, well, hopefully this works. And I'm actually live. And let's see what happens here then. I'm going live on my channel. Christ. Anyway, yes. Welcome everyone watching now. Absolutely breaking news in the fact that Jose Mourinho has been sacked by Spurs this morning after the announcement of the Super League late last night. Now, I was going to make a video on this literally probably later today and put it out this afternoon, just talking about the Super League and all things like that, because that kept me up at night scrolling through all the breaking news, and this is clearly a massive turning point in football as we know it, really. But yes, it can be confirmed that Jose Mourinho was sacked, right? Which is absolutely unbelievable. Let me see how I'm going to try and get all this. I'm trying to get all like the Twitter and stuff up here as well, so you guys can see it. But to be honest with you, I thought it was quite shocking. I thought Spurs were always going to give him the League Cup final, which is supposed to be going ahead on Sunday. However, a few reports have been saying that he turned up this morning, obviously found out about the news of the Super League, refused to take the players onto the training pitch, and that caused there to be a massive outburst, and Spurs ended up sacking Jose Mourinho this morning. Let me see if I can get this up to you guys. So, I mean, it's absolutely everywhere. We'll go to the man himself, and that is Fabrizio Romano here, looking on Twitter. So I just sorting all this out. I need to move my live chat. Pop up chat. There. Just so I can see you guys. Right, okay. So, if we look at Fabrizio Romano's Twitter, this is obviously the huge news about the 12 football clubs joining the Super League. Spurs being one of them. Got AC Milan, Arsenal, Atletico Madrid, Chelsea, Barcelona, Inter Milan, Juventus, Liverpool, Man City, Man United, Real Madrid and Tottenham have all joined. Now that is 12 teams. There are supposed to be 15, with 5 others joining on, I guess, merit, depending on their performances in their respective leagues. But here we go from Fabrizio Romano. Jose Mourinho has been sacked and Tottenham will confirm soon with an official statement. Chris Powell and Ryan Mason will be in charge until June as Spurs managers. And THFC board have already started to plan with a new manager for next season. Now, obviously, the huge news is about Nagelsmann at Bayern Munich. RB Leipzig, but what I was about to say about Bayern Munich is that they were obviously the front runners, considering their manager Flick is taking charge of Germany. But a lot of reports also saying that RB Leipzig do not want to strengthen a rival, so would be open to selling to Spurs. And obviously with the huge cash injection that Spurs are going to get from the Super League, there is no doubt we will try and actually get Nagelsmann. But it is absolutely insane, all the news here. Borussia Dortmund's saying that they're not joining the Super League at all. What the other reports here saying about Jose being sacked. Just looking at Fabrizio Romano for now, then we'll look at the rest online. Official confirmed, Jose Mourinho has been fired by Tottenham. Ryan Mason will be Tottenham manager until the end of the season after Jose Mourinho's sacked. Chris Powell will also work with him. Tottenham will already plan discussing. Yeah, we read that already. So that probably means that Spurs have done a tweet themselves. So let's bring that up right now. Must have done, right? The club can today announce that Jose Mourinho and his coaching staff, João Sacramento, Nuno Santos, Carlos Lalin, what a guy that guy is as well, by the way, and Giovanni Serra, if that's how you pronounce his name, have been relieved of their duties. This is unbelievable. He actually stood up against what was happening to do with the English Football League and has been sacked by Levy, which is phenomenal. I'll make a tweet about that in a second. But yeah, there you go. £5 from LP Metal Detecting. I never thought he was the right man for the job, but if that's who we go with, that's who we get. But there has to be more to this than we see. Oh, this is not just a sacking. With the final coming up on Sunday, you can almost guarantee this is all because of the European Super League. Because at the end of the day, if he was going to get sacked, they would have been sacked weeks ago after the Europa League exit. They were keeping him until the final on Sunday so that he could have a chance of winning us silverware. However, of course, with all the news breaking out last night about the Super League, there's clearly been a massive uproar at the Spurs camp this morning, and they have been sacked by the club. And it looks like the money's not an issue for Spurs anymore. But yeah, this is mental. So I'm here to discuss my opinions on it, get everyone's opinions as well. But I think the first things first, what we need to do is kind of make sure everyone understands what the situation is with the Super League. Okay, so what I'm going to just do for now is I'm going to get up I think is the Super League website. I think the Super League website has all the information that we're going to go through and discuss and kind of work out together why this is going to kill football as we know it and is just unbelievable. Let me see not the Betfred Super League. That can't be right. It's funny how they've got the same name. Where is the website? Come on, where is it? I'm going to search on Twitter and find it. Did he leave or did Levy sack him? Well, they've been relieved of their duty, so they've sacked him. They've sacked him by the looks of this. Come on now, where is... Wow, so let me just share this as well. Just me looking for the the Super League table. Oh my god, I can't even speak right. Looking for the Super League website, and they apparently worked out that Betis have actually updated on their website the La Liga table and have removed Barcelona, Real Madrid, and Atletico Madrid. So this is serious business. And it's absolutely a bit crazy. Yep, room's messy. Haven't had time to organise. Ignore that. I don't really care, to be honest with you. That's not the news that we're looking for right now. Super League website. There we go. So this is the official Super League website, as you can see. Let's get this up here. Right. So, Super League website that has been set up. The best clubs, the best players every week. Yet somehow Spurs appear there. Not so sure about that. Right, now let's run through this together and see what this... So, because I don't quite think everyone quite understands fully about the league. But we're about to run through the Super League. Then we're going to run through the thoughts of Jose being sacked. And then and kind of discuss why this is going to kill modern football and that fans have had absolutely zero say in what's been going on, all because of greed, power, money, majority by American football owners, but obviously this was the love child of Perez, the Real Madrid owner, so it's not all just to do with American clubs, but however, there are a lot of English clubs owned by Americans who have obviously been inspired by the NFL, but taken the worst parts from it and trying to kill football in that sense. So, competition format. The Super League is a new European competition between 20 top clubs comprised of 15 founders and 5 annual qualifiers. So, what happened is obviously 12 have been announced for the 15 founders, which are the list that we went through beforehand. There were supposed to be 3 more. Originally, it was PSG, Bayern Munich and Dortmund. If you remember, this was leaked quite a few months ago, actually, of this news, but no one really thought anything of it. However, that has since changed, with Germany having their club rule of 50+1 ownership from fans, I think it is. They rejected the offer. And it's interesting that PSG kind of took the moral high ground with not doing it as well. However, it is believed to be that the next 3 are going to be Bayern Munich, RB Leipzig and Porto. That is the heavy news at the moment as to the final 3 founders. Dortmund have already tweeted out this morning that they are not going to be participating in the Super League. However, those 3 teams could be. And then the 5 annual qualifiers will be the ones based on league finishes, etc., etc. However, so many things about the Premier League, UEFA, FIFA all coming out saying that teams will not be able to play domestically and in their current leagues, even though this is what the Super League wants. This wants to be a replacement for the Champions League, not a replacement for the Premier League, La Liga. They want the domestic competitions to still go ahead, but this be a new replacement for the Champions League. There'll be 2 groups of 10 clubs each, playing home and away fixtures with the group each year. So very much like the NFL, you've got the AFC and the NFC. Apologies if I got that wrong. I'm not totally clued up, but they've got 2 divisions where they play that division every single year, and then the top certain amount of teams go into the knockout stage to fight for the Super Bowl. This is going to be exact replica of that. So 2 groups of 10. By bringing the best clubs to play as well, the Super League, yeah, whatever, a load of bullshit that. Top 8 clubs. Following the group stage, 8 clubs will qualify for a knockout tournament, playing home and away until the single match Super League Championship in a dramatic 4-week end to the season. All games will be played midweek and all clubs will remain in their domestic leagues. This is what they want to happen. However, there is a lot of massive backlash from UEFA and Premier League saying that these teams will be removed from the domestic competitions and will be removed from any subsequent competitions if they go ahead with the Super League. So we will need to wait to see what happens with that. Solidarity sustainability. Solidarity payments will grow in line with the league revenues and are expected to be in excess of 10 billion euros. Now, I read on Twitter that is expected to span across a number of years, but obviously that is a ridiculous amount of money. During the course of the initial commitment period of the founders, these solidarity payments will follow a new model with full transparency and regular public reporting. That is effectively them saying, we've lost a lot of money, we need to find a new way of making money, so we're going to give these clubs that join us hundreds of millions each to take part. And this is what I don't understand, where they want it to run alongside domestic competition. And I can understand exactly the frustration of the Premier League and other leagues because, okay, even if they did run alongside it, then all of a sudden these clubs are going to get 300 million euros per season to be a part of this competition, which is going to create absolutely massive inequality between the clubs. Even if they were allowed to compete in the Premier League still, the likes of City, Tottenham, Chelsea, Man United, Liverpool, Arsenal will get an extra 300 million a year, something that the likes of Everton, Leeds, Leicester, whoever else is in the Premier League will not receive. And all the players are going to be wanting to, well, the idea of this competition is that it's supposed to attract the best players in the world, therefore meaning that none of the best players will be in the other clubs. So huge disparity between all the clubs across all of Europe. But obviously, we're going to speak from a majority Premier League point of view, given the fact that I am a Spurs fan. Yeah, so I, to be honest with you, I think this is an absolute disgrace. If I'm being honest, changing this the competition to be like groups of 10 and then knockout, I don't mind a reformed Champions League, which is what this is basically trying to be. And this comes in perfect timing because today was set to be announced the new reformed Champions League, which will start from 2024, which is a very similar format. I think it was some sort of thing where it was, rather than 2 groups, they wanted to make it one big table. However, you only play 10 teams, and then it goes into a knockout and playoffs, etc. So I think it worked out that the top 8 or however many in the table, I think it was the top 8 go automatically through, and then the next from 9 to 24 will do a playoff match to decide who goes into the knockout rounds. And then it will go into obviously a last 16. That is what the Champions League is supposed to be reforming to in 2024. But this is the Super League trying to combat that and just create an elitist group. Now, I wouldn't mind the reform. I wouldn't mind this Super League necessarily if there was still the jeopardy of being relegated or promoted, however you want to call it, or effectively the need to qualify for this competition. Because at the moment, only 5 clubs will have to qualify, and 15 for as long as we know it will stay there forever, which is disgusting. And you can see football heading towards more franchises now with these clubs, rather than sticking to the roots of what we love about football. Like, there will never be an underdog story ever again with this Super League, because You won't get Spurs getting into the Champions League final, Ajax semi-finals run, Monaco. You won't get the likes of Atalanta last year doing well, Lyon doing extremely well, getting to the semi-final. You will never see that in the Super League because every single team will have equal split of a large pot of money, and it's going to be the same teams every year. There'll be no breakthrough team just having a stellar season, creating this great underdog story, which is what a lot of fans love to see. That will never happen because even if the 5 that do qualify, how on earth are those 5 going to be able to compete with the 15 that will be there every single year? It's an absolute disgrace and travesty, and I feel absolutely disgusted to be a Spurs fan in this moment that we have agreed to sign up to this in pure greed and purely looking for extra cash. It's honestly a disgrace. Caden with the 35. Thank you, my guy. Jose should have not been sacked yet. It shows that a club has been brainwashed and is only after the money. Hashtag cancel the Super League. 100%. This is quite honestly a pure greed and power move by the club. Jose Mourinho wasn't going to get sacked until at least after the League Cup final to see whether we'd win a trophy. He probably would have gone at the end of the season anyway, let's be honest. However, he has been absolutely outraged and no doubt kicked off in the Spurs training ground this morning, which obviously caused him to get sacked by the club. Oh, wrong one there. George, if a Spurs protest club forms, would you support it? I would 100% just support anything that involves not being involved in the Super League because, like I said, if there was, I'd back the Super League if there was the jeopardy of having to qualify for it. I said I don't mind necessarily a change in structure, a changing format of these leagues. I don't mind that. It's the fact that these clubs are protecting themselves, their best interest, their own investments, and not thinking about the football pyramid. And as much as they say they are, they're not. They're not thinking about everyone else. Think about every other club. League One, the dream is, for, if you think about lower teams in League One, League Two in the English divisions, their dream is to build their club, get their way up to the Premier League, and obviously the end goal is always to go further and further and aim for Champions League, whatever. The team is always to grow. Now we have a situation where you get there and none of the so-called best teams are going to be there, and there's going to be a huge shift, and all of the money will probably go towards the Super League because, let's be honest, as much as a lot of Sky pundits and reporters are saying that they're against this, I'm not being funny. Sky, BT, Amazon, they're going to be the first ones to try and get TV rights for the Super League if it goes ahead. 25 Hong Kong dollars from Alex saying, wouldn't be surprised to see more managers walk. 100% would not be surprised at all. But there'll be no excitement. This is just killing the game. I'm fed up of this. It's not just about... sorry, I'm struggling to get my words together because there is so much going on right now. It's ridiculous. I went through it for about 4 hours last night all over Twitter. But it's killing the game. Their idea of creating this elite football that you'll see every single season. I'm not being funny. The reason it is elite is because Spurs might only play Real Madrid once every 5 years, if we're lucky. Even the top teams that are in the Champions League every single year, there's an excitement around the fact that they might not necessarily play each other. And, oh my God, this is the year Barcelona drew Real Madrid in the semi-finals. This is the year Bayern Munich played PSG, which is obviously happened 2 years in a row. But that's what creates the excitement around the game. I'm not being funny. I don't care what players are there. I don't care what club it is. If you are playing Real Madrid every year, who else is in there? AC Milan every single year, twice a season, and then maybe again in the knockouts, the excitement is dead. It is finished. There is no love story behind it. There's no, like I said before, there is absolutely no underdog story coming through there. It's a disgrace. Mando from the H with $10 US. Does this mean that players from Man United or Juventus can't ever play for Madrid or Barcelona? No, it's just going to be the same. Just these clubs will just have more money for players to go from whom to which, whatever. Yeah, just to answer people's question, Ryan Mason is the new manager. He'll be taking charge for now. You just know Jeff Bezos is going to go the rights for the Amazon Prime video, 100%. Does anyone know why Jose was sacked? Jose was sacked to do... Well, according to reports, it was reported that Jose was sacked because he went into the training ground this morning and refused to train the players and to take them out because of the announcement of the Super League. Then they sacked him because of that. Sorry, I've just got something I have to do. Thank you for joining the Achillea Army, Era Sands. No, I can't be happy with any of this happening. Hear me saying, "Are you happy with Mason taking charge?" I can't be. I can't be happy with anything that's going on because I'm seeing football, the football that we all love, unfold between our eyes. Which is falling apart as we see it. It's these clubs, these 15 clubs plus the 15 clubs founders that will never be able to be relegated from the Super League are being protected with the hundreds of millions they're going to receive every year, and there is zero jeopardy. So what if we're still in the Premier League as well? What does it matter? There's no race for top four. You either finish first or nothing, because there is nothing else to do. There is no race for top four. There's no, they could finish in Europa League. There's none of that. Like, how amazing is it that Leicester have managed to build themselves up and get to a point where they can be in the Champions League? Yet, clubs like us, we won't have that. We'll either have to win the Premier League or nothing. Right, guys, I'm going to have to be back in literally 2 seconds. Hold on a sec. Let me just leave this here for you so at least you can read the rules. I'll be back in a sec. Sorry, guys. I've got someone collecting. Something for work. Okay. It's fine. That'll be 20 minutes. Right. Sorry about that. Yeah. Back to our regular show. So just want to see what some of you guys are saying. Sorry, guys. Yeah. Someone is collecting a hard drive for work. So I thought they were here, but they haven't arrived yet. Yeah, so then obviously the massive breaking news is the fact that Jose Mourinho has been sacked because of that. And I'm not being funny. Jurgen Klopp was very anti the Super League. And I wouldn't be surprised if he decides to walk as well. Genuinely, would not be surprised. Oh, here we go. Breaking news. Yeah, this is exactly what I was saying to you guys before about the Champions League. The Champions League were planning on changing their format. And you can see it right here. So, breaking, UEFA approved the suggested Champions League reform, which will take place from 2024. New Champions League format, 36 instead of 32 teams. This is why they want to change it to a table so that they can allow more teams and more games. I think, don't get me wrong, I think there's 126 games in the Champions League currently. With this new format, it will change to 226. If I am not mistaken. But yeah, the idea is 36 instead of 32 teams. New spots for elite clubs that fail to qualify. Wait, what? New spots for elite clubs that failed to qualify. One league instead of groups. Best 8s to reach the knockouts, and then other teams to qualify for a new round of playoffs. Every club guaranteed 10 games, increasing revenue. Hold on, what? New spots for elite clubs that failed to qualify. So is this kind of effectively them trying to come back to the Super League saying, we don't want the Super League to happen, but the U12 can guarantee your spots every single year? Am I reading that correct? Hold on, that surely can't be right. New spots for elite clubs that failed to qualify. Yeah, so you're right. So Luke is saying, so it's basically if you are cool, you are invited no matter what. This is absolutely mental. I knew this was going ahead. I knew that this Champions League reform from 2024 was going ahead. What I did not expect is this breakaway Super League, which this is honestly phenomenal. Okay. So obviously the reports, as the goal saying, understand Spurs' decision to part company with Jose Mourinho is based on results and nothing to do with the European Super League. I mean, I don't know about that, to be honest with you. I really don't know about that. If that was to do with the results, he would have 100% been sacked a lot earlier than this. He would have been sacked after the Europa League exit. And it's very, very, very convenient that the Super League was announced last night and then he gets sacked this morning. I would be very surprised if it had nothing to do with the Europa League. Payoff expected to be around 15 million and connected to league position. Okay. Interesting. Mourinho's trying to save the game respect. Look, at the end of the day, I think as much as we all know, like Mourinho is at the top level, right? He's always going to demand a lot of money. But I think the way he always talks about football from the bottom up, sort of thing, from the come up. So I'm actually not surprised that he that he is actually against this. So it's going to be like the NBA with them having playoffs. Yeah, 100%. It's like the NBA. NBA, NFL, all that sort of thing. We're moving to franchises like in America is what's happening here. So a lot of confusion. Champions League's going ahead with a new format. That obviously them trying to say you qualify whether if you're an elite club or not is clearly them trying to say, look, forget your Super League nonsense. We'll just do that for the Champions League, which is a joke. No team should be guaranteed any sort of spots in the competitions. You have to qualify for how you're performing. Jose sacked official, 100%. Ryan Mason taking charge until the end. He got 15 million for his sacking, reportedly. It has nothing to do with the ESL decision was made on Friday. I don't believe that. Regardless of even if it is to do with, like, they have the Super League in mind. They would always have the Super League. There's no way it's just convenient timing they've sacked him right after the announcement of a Super League. I'm sorry, not at all. Not at all. Adil saying they think we should get Nagelsmann. I think so too, but that's going to be tough. Oh man, guys, this is horrible. I can't actually wrap my head around everything that's going on right now. UEFA Executive Committee today has unanimously voted through the new 36 team UCL to start in 2024, and PSG president voted for the new UCL. I can hardly speak today too. Chelsea, like all the Super League clubs, are set to leave the European Football Association. I don't know what to feel. This is going. We need to try and stop this as much as possible, but there have been. Let me see if I can find it as well. There was something this morning, with this term, which I think is absolutely unbelievable. Yeah, here. Look at this tweet, right? Look at this tweet from Dan Rowan. According to a source, Some of these involved in the European Super League call traditional supporters of the club's legacy fans, while they are focused instead of the fans of the future who want superstar names. ESL insists modelling shows solidarity payments will be boosted to £10 billion, well, €10 billion over 23 seasons. Calling us legacy fans means they absolutely do not give an absolute flying shit about the fans right now. At all. They will see it as, oh yeah, these guys were the fans before when football was like this, but now we're aiming worldwide at just someone else. Anyone that just wants to watch these football. They do not care about the fans one bit. And to be honest with you, individual, yes, they could care about the fans, but don't buy into UEFA, Premier League, all these people as well, saying they're for the fans, because they're not either. They're just protecting their own pocket because they're going to lose so much money with these clubs leaving their competitions. Everyone's doing it for selfish reasons, and as always, the fans come last in all these scenarios, even though we're the ones that give them the money in the first place. Yeah, see, every other club is basing theirs around the fans and whatnot. I don't believe it. The sad thing is as well, right? This is huge news now. Because obviously this is changing football as we know it, and a lot of the people said the same when the Premier League was formed. They said that was going to ruin football. At least that stuck to the pyramid. The English pyramid. You still got the promotion, the relegation. You still have the jeopardy of football, which makes it so exciting. This is just an elitist group protecting their own money and quite literally franchising and trying to be like NFL clubs. That is it. That is purely what this move is. And it's sickening to see, to be honest with you, because it is painfully obvious that this benefits Spurs. Painfully obvious. Because let's be real, we were not qualifying for pretty much any sort of European football. We had players on the brink of leaving. Our club was on the way to collapse. All of a sudden, we have this opportunity where we can get 300 million a year, guaranteed top European football every single season. The sponsorship money that's going to be coming in is insane to go inside to coexist with the stadium and the NFL partnership we have there. It is dreadful. All right. Aussie Baby saying, can you explain why it is so bad for fans? Okay, so yeah, as I was saying, this benefits Spurs massively. From an investment point of view, from a pure money point of view, this benefits Spurs. There is absolutely zero denying that. If you look at the fact that we last won the league in 1961, at least these clubs have won them this century. All right, but even still, you look at Arsenal, haven't won the league since, what was it, 2004, 2005? Haven't won a European trophy. We haven't won the Champions League or the European Cup, the equivalent. We've obviously won the Europa League, the equivalent, but that's it. Chelsea, Man City, new money from this decade. Man U have been poor recently. AC Milan haven't won the league in, was it, over a decade. Inter Milan have been struggling until this season. Juventus are fourth in their league. It's a shambles right now to be able to call themselves elite clubs when in the reality is they can see them, that all of them can see their clubs going on a downwards trajectory, and they're just purely thinking, how can we protect our own clubs with more money? And they're making an elite, and their answer is to make an elite group where they can never be relegated. Where this is a problem for the bigger picture, right, is I can understand from a pure business point of view, you can see why it's a smart move. But that is not football. Football is not supposed to be just business. Football is about the fans. Football is about these impossible moments that you never expect to happen. Spurs, Ajax, Liverpool, Barcelona, the comeback to the underdog stories. Teams like Sheffield United coming up to the Premier League and then doing these high finishes. I feel like we'll lose all of that essence in football because, I'm not being funny, as much as you could argue, well, the Premier League's still going to be around. These teams are still going to be around. There'll just be better teams in the Premier League for lower clubs. You don't the full focus of broadcasting, of the money from sponsorships, all of that is going directly towards the clubs in the Super League because that will be seen as the elite football. That is exactly what's going to happen. And it's sad because the fans don't have a say at all. What are lower league clubs supposed to do if they finally build their way up to the Premier League? I mean, look what Leicester did. Built their way up to the Premier League and are now becoming a Champions League side, competing for the Champions League spots. Pretty much all going to be totally undone because they're going to enter into a Champions League competition without all these other clubs. The Champions League won't be seen as the top competition anymore because that's what the Super League will be perceived as. It ruins football for everyone else from the ground up, and it's only these 12, eventually 15 teams that will be protected and be seen at the top. It's unbelievable. It's the disgrace and the greed that is killing it, and I am gobsmacked that this has been allowed to happen. And I know football has been heading that way. You can argue that, like with the heavy investment into teams like PSG, Chelsea, Man City, the unregulated money spending and cap. Like, I'm not being funny. Take inspiration from the NFL in things like the salary cap and give it a fairer chance for teams to be able to compete. Look at Man City this year again, walk in the league because their second team is better than everyone else's first teams. If you can put salary caps in, something like that, take inspiration in that sense. Not the fact that we want it to be a closed shop, no one can come in apart from a couple of teams which will just constantly change every year and they won't be able to compete with the other 15 anyway because these 15 will get 300 million year on year on year upon year upon year, and of course all of the money, the TV rights from the Super League as well, constantly. The inequality between clubs has increased by a huge amount, and we've sold the soul of football and lost all of the past 100-odd years of history of football is totally undone right now by creating this new, I keep saying it because it's so similar, this new NFL format of football, protecting these clubs. It's a disgrace, honestly. I can't lie, I'm so ashamed to be a Spurs fan right now and the fact that we're involved in this. In what sense do we deserve to be a part of this elite group of people? So what if we're supposedly the 8th or 9th richest club in the world? What have we won to be there? To say, oh yeah, we deserve protection and to stay against these top teams the whole time. It's a joke. It's an absolute joke. The ESL is about money. We are too broke after the Spurs stadium rebuild. Am I right, George? I mean, the stadium rebuild, we took long-term loans from banks to be able to build that. So I think we would have been fine without the ESL. But this is obviously them coming to us saying, hey, look, you could get 300 million a year. And they're like, all right, cool, sweet. Let's do it, and then that's it. It builds off the stadium, and they don't care about the football or the legacy. They don't care about it at all. Aussie Baby saying, where is the 300 million coming from? Who is funding? JP Morgan are involved in the funding of the Super League. I'm actually going to scroll through Fabrizio Romano's Twitter. I keep going to him, but that's just because he's the one I know straight to mind that is constantly tweeting this stuff, right? If you guys need a breakdown of how this works, let me see if I can find the tweet. Right, Super League official statement here, this one. The chairman is Florentino Perez, the Real Madrid owner. Now, he is the one that has obviously pushed this whole thing in the first place. The vice chairman is Juventus, Zona Agnelli, sorry, I can't pronounce his name correctly. Vice chairman, Joel Glazer. Now, Joel Glazer, the Man United owner, previous employer was JP Morgan. And now, all of a sudden, JP Morgan are the ones that are funding the Super League, which is extremely convenient. Extremely convenient. There were other reports as well as other vice chairmen on the list. Spurs weren't one of them. I think we're quite literally tagging along because of the new stadium, because of all these other factors, and the fact that we're considered the 8th richest club in the world right now. Obviously, all the news about every club and player participating in the Super League could be banned from the UEFA and FIFA competitions. The reality is, I don't know if that's actually going to happen. I really don't know. They will threat it. They will 100% threat it and make it look serious. Whether that happens or not, I do not know. Yeah, there you go. Founder clubs are going to receive 3.5 billion. This will be probably spread across. It's not 3.5 billion each, I don't think. For infrastructure investment plans and to offset the impact of COVID pandemic. Okay, so it's all right for Bury to fold as a club. For all these teams to go into administration, Bolton suffering. Yet because we've lost some money, they're going to give us 300 million a year, rather than helping out every club in English football. It's an absolute travesty and a disgrace. Meeting scheduled today. Dortmund announced they're not joining the Super League. Jose Mourinho been sacked. Dortmund saying that FC Bayern and Dortmund have 100% compatible views, both against the Super League. So maybe Bayern won't sign. But again, it's one of them situations. If everyone else is doing it, will they cave in? That is the question. Jose Mourinho sacked, not linked. The Jose Mourinho sacking is not linked to Super League, and he's never refused to take training today. He's been fired because of results and nothing else. Okay. Interesting. Again, I find it... I as much as they can release that and say that, I find that hard to believe, and I want to wait to see what Mourinho says first. A tweet from Ander Herrera. Let me close that so you can actually see that fully. I fell in love with football, with the football of the fans, with the dream of seeing the team of my heart compete against the greatest. If this European Super League advances, those dreams are over. The illusions of the fans of the teams that are not giants of being able to win on the field, competing in the best competitions will end. I love football and cannot remain silent about this. I believe in an improved Champions League. Sorry if my face cam's in the way. In fact, let me move my face cam to the bottom bit here. Oh no. Let me move my face cam to that side. Sorry, I love football and cannot remain silent about this. I believe in an improved Champions League, but not in the rich stealing what the people created, which is nothing other than the most beautiful sport on the planet. I mean, he's put a nail on the head there, to be honest with you. Interested to see if anyone else is... Yeah, we need 100% more players speaking on it. 100%. Sorry, let me just get this chat open. I've got to rotate between screens. It's too tough. George, how do you think Spurs will fare in the Carabao Cup now Jose is gone? I mean, I don't think we stand a chance anyway. I think that was probably our last chance. I mean, maybe we get this whole manager bounce, BS, whatever. To be honest with you, I don't even think it's about the manager. My more worry is Kane able to play on Sunday? That is my worry. I agree that Mourinho needed to go, but I think it should have been done after the League Cup final at the end of the season. Not giving him a chance to do that is weird, especially since they waited this long to do it. So they didn't sack him after the Europa League exit, which was the most embarrassing thing until now that we've seen as Spurs fans bottling that. They didn't sack him after the Newcastle draw. They didn't sack him after the United loss. They decided to sack him after an Everton draw. Conveniently, right around this whole Super League, Champions League debate. I don't buy it one bit until Mourinho comes out and says what? Says it all. PSG didn't join because they're scared that Qatar would lose the rights to the World Cup. I mean, I ain't gonna lie. I would not be surprised if that was the case. Genuinely, this is not. They won't be protecting the fans at all. They're thinking from a political point of view. I would not be surprised whatsoever. We waited a whole year for this to happen. Who's the new interim coach for the moment? It is Ryan Mason. Ryan Mason is taking charge. I think he's been our coach for the under-23s. I just can't believe it, man. Andre Herrera speaking against billionaires while he's employed by billionaires. Okay, yeah, well, his billionaires that he's employed by are the ones that are going against the Super League and are backing the new Champions League reform. And at the end of the day, he's a football player. Was he not going to... Every club is owned by a billionaire. Every club is owned by... At that level, every club is owned by a billionaire. It's impossible not to be. And we just lose the whole integrity of football now. Absolutely massively. We lose the integrity of football. Purely because they're like, so what? Like I just saw a tweet there. If we finish 10th, so what? We're in the Super League. If we finish 17th, so what? We're in the Super League. If we win the league, all right, you win the league, but that's just for an extra trophy. It's not actually like to get you any extra. Or okay, maybe that's a bad example. 2nd, 3rd, 4th doesn't mean anything because we don't go into the Champions League anyway. So what's that about? I'm honestly lost for words at this point because there is too much going on with the sacking and the Super League. The Super League itself is I have to vent. So I'm sorry, guys. I just have to vent to you guys. This is an absolute disgrace. Absolute disgrace what this Super League is supposed to stand is what it's supposedly standing for. Protecting the elite is what they're doing, and protecting the billionaire owners of these clubs. That's all it's doing. It's got no interest in football. It's got none of these owners have a history of football. In reality, the majority of them are owners, are mega billionaire tycoons that own multiple businesses that see it as a cash cow money grab and do not care about the football whatsoever. And it's a disgrace. I've been going to Spurs since I was 8 years old. I've had a season ticket since I was 8 years old. And I have never been this ashamed of the club. Ever. Ever. And there are people older than me that have been going for way longer than me that are saying the same thing. It's a disgrace. It's a disgrace. And they know we're sucked into it. At the end of the day, as much as I'm pissed, and I can say all this now, and this is what a point I was trying to say to you before, where everyone's getting so angry in the uproar now because it's happening now, I guarantee you, if this goes ahead in 10, 20 years' time, no one will say a thing. No one will say a thing because it will just be the norm then. It will just be the same as the NFL. And I'm not being funny. Okay, from my understanding in things like the NFL, you obviously do have some hardcore fans, but I've been to games in these countries. There is not the same rivalry. There's not the same clash between fans. There's not the same intensity at matches. It's all theatrical. It's all a show. It's not the same as what you get from football in Europe, or not even just in Europe, sorry, across the world, but we can only speak from Europe because this is about Europe. There's none of that, like the rivalry between Spurs, Chelsea, Arsenal, West Ham. There isn't that same feeling with NFL and the NBA because of, I guess maybe because of distance, how far apart they are, all this, that, and the other. But this is what we're turning into. We'll get to a point where we will have Spurs fans in the future that are just like, yeah, I'm a Spurs fan, but you know what? I quite like Arsenal as well. We will actually get to that point because there won't be that intensity and rivalry because we will lose that with this competition. I can see it now. It's a joke. It is a joke. We will lose that massively, and the sad reality is, by the time it gets to it, it's too late. People won't care, and it will just become another money sport. That is it. So that's my opinion on it. Until they change it, look, I'm not being funny. Like I said, I've said this numerous times on this stream, but if they had it that it was the Super League, that, you know, you still had to qualify, every team still had to qualify, fine. I'm all for a new format. And I mean, the Champions League's got a new format as well. To be honest with you, I actually think I prefer the Super League one compared to the Champions League one. Because what I don't understand about the Champions League one is that it's one long table, but you only, of, what was it? What did it say? Of 36 teams, but you only play 10 of them. And it's done by some weird seeded system. That is very, very strange to me. I prefer the Super League one where it's 2 10 teams divisions, and then at least you know you've got to get to the top and then they play each other. That makes a lot more sense than one table of 36. Because then you've got 8 qualify, then you've got playoffs before the final playoffs. That makes no sense to me. I don't understand the new Champions League one. If the Champions League one was the Super League one, happy days. However, this Super League is just protecting the 15 teams that can never be relegated from this competition. And that moment there is what makes this whole thing a joke. If it was the Super League that allowed everyone to qualify, happy days, but that is not the case at all. Do you think there will be a player versus team rebellion? Probably not, to be honest with you. I think players will be... Some players will probably be scared to take it. The club will convince them that, look, we'll be able to give you an extra 100k a week, even to the shit players, because of this extra money injection. Like, that is purely the case. I mean, to be honest with you, we need Marcus Rashford to stand up. Marcus Rashford, for all his good he's done. Like if he takes a stand against Man U, huge. If Kane takes a stand against Spurs for it, huge. Will that happen? I don't think so. Kane comes across to me as one of those professionals that wouldn't risk going against the club, sort of thing. Maybe to tarnish reputation. I don't know. I don't know. I can't really speak too much on that. That's just pure speculation. Ignore that. But we need players to speak out. Need players to speak out. Like the managers have as well. I mean, the reality is Klopp should walk. Klopp should walk from Liverpool. He was totally against the idea of a Super League. And Liverpool one of the front runners for it with their American owners. 100%. 100%. And all that makes sense now. Liverpool got new investment from LeBron James. Obviously not directly just him. It's the whole company that's invested into... Because LeBron James had like a small stake in Liverpool, and they increased that big time. Huge cash injection into Liverpool to increase their stake in it, and that's making a lot more sense now. Clearly, they knew the plans for the Super League going ahead. Sorry, Vasilis, I keep seeing your message, but I keep getting past it. Can we prevent this? I don't think we can. Have you seen the outrage on Twitter and the uproar all these fans have, and we actually can't do anything about it? Messi controls Barca, why not Prem players sort out? The difference is Barcelona are actually in billion debt. Like serious, like billions of debt. So the reason he can control them is in the sense of his own contract. I don't think he has a say on whether they can be in the Super League or not. It's madness. It's madness. We've joined it in fear of just being left out and losing money. That is it. Pure greed. Money driven. Disgraceful. There's no news on Ledley leaving. Ledley has probably stayed. It's all the external people that Mourinho brought in himself. They're the ones that have left. It's his coaching staff, not the Spurs one. Ledley King was brought in by Spurs, not Jose Mourinho. Hayes not ironic that Ander Herrera, player from Qatari-owned club, is speaking out against the Super League. Sounds like a conflict of interest potentially affecting the 2022 World Cup. That is genuinely... someone mentioned it before. I would not be surprised at all if genuinely PSG aren't involved because of the World Cup. Genuinely. Not surprised because Perez came... Well, I think it was fake news, but there was... Who do we get in as manager? For now, it is Ryan Mason. Ryan Mason is manager. New manager, who knows? We need to aim for someone like Nagelsmann. Is that going to happen? I don't know. Bayern Munich, obviously, front runners to get him at the moment, given Flick is leaving. Brendan Rodgers, maybe. But if Brendan Rodgers really stood for football the way I think he does, I don't think he would want to join Spurs. Anyone else is just not adequate, in my opinion. Caden saying Formula 1 can have my money. They don't come up with it. Hey, listen, I've been loving Formula 1 recently. And the thing is, right, I know it's hard, it's weird to say, right? Because Formula 1 is purely a sport based on cash injection and money. The difference is they actually need hundreds of millions to run. Because... I don't know if you notice, it's not cheap to make a Formula 1 car, especially if they crash every single week. So there's a reason why there's massive money behind it. And yes, it can be a bit dodgy at times and all this and the other, but Formula 1 was, in a way, built that way. It was originally built for the rich, to a degree, in that sense. Football was made by the working class and stolen by the rich. So... No, there you go. F1 have a spending cap from this season. So even the F1 can do a spending cap and we can't. What a joke. Not anymore, really. There's a cap for F1. Yeah. I actually find that phenomenal, you know. I actually find that mad phenomenal. So, Formula 1, something that's pumped billions every year, manages to have a spending cap and football doesn't. Really. Madness. If this goes through, will you still go to games and fund this soulless corporation? This is the thing that massive conflict in my life. I've been going to Spurs from when I was a child, a kid, a small kid. It's a club I've loved throughout my life. And same with my family and my parents and cousins. But I can't support this. In one day, the history of football has changed, 100%. I do not have an answer to that yet. I need to see how this all unfolds and the actual, like, everything behind it. I need to know the full details before making a full decision on how I'm gonna change this. But it's a joke. How do you feel about the new Champions League setup I voted for this morning, where the elite clubs always qualify? That is UEFA's response, 100%. I didn't see any. I didn't see any news about that whatsoever in the previous stuff about the 2024 Champions League. Everything came out about it being 36 teams, about it being one table, about you playing 10 teams, about it being a pre-playoff, then a playoff. All of that came out, but nothing came out before talking about elite clubs always qualifying. That is 100% a response to the Super League to keep them in the Champions League format. So yeah, that's it, guys. I don't have anything else on it. I've ranted for an hour, for nearly an hour now, I think. I appreciate every one of you stopping by. This will stay up as a video if anyone needs to see what's going on afterwards. But I'm gonna have to end it there. Got work to do now. But yeah, last point is a disgrace. It needs to change. I have a feeling it won't go ahead. It's just a push for this Champions League. I mean, the Champions League format has been confirmed with elite clubs qualifying regardless. So expect more news later on. I might go live tonight with Miche if I can get him on board. If not, I shall see you guys very soon. But I really do have to bounce because I've got work now. I appreciate the support from every one of you. And I'm sorry for the lack of streams, but I've been trying to focus on videos now. And to be honest with you, I've actually been trying to break away solely just from Spurs, as you would have seen from the Calyx No Two Ways video. I want to make entertaining videos for you guys, and it's hard to do that when the team's not doing well and the football is falling apart. So I'll do my best to make the best videos for you as possible and treat you better than Spurs have, or all these teams have, all right? Okay, I'll see you guys next time. Peace.